Of Big Brain MMA podcast, episode 26, breaking it down with my man Scrap. Dern versus Yan. We'll do a full card breakdown, try to find some bets. I'll address a few things. I'm not doing the competition, best bet competition anymore. Just a few people putting bets on last minute. It says 6 hours ago, so technically it was right around the time the card started, but I can't tell the exact time. And then I was sleeping, so I don't know if people are cheating or not. And then people doing the 3, 4, 5 props, which I said everything is fine, but I was just going to get rid of those. And then people putting opening lines that no one else can get. So I was going to say get rid of all that stuff, but I just decided no more comp. Just no more comp for the time being. Makes it easier. One day when this channel explodes, I'll do another competition. Maybe do like $200 when I got a lot of followers and subscribers. But until then, we'll just move on. We'll do a quick recap. A couple of people asked for some recaps. I know me and Scrap both killed it last time before last card before the break. We had a lot of similar bets. I know we're both on the Motor by KO. I had Basharat round 3 decision, which is killing it both for him and his brother recently. We're both really high on Jillian and the under. There's so many things to play there, submission, etc. A live bet Zellhuber after round 2 when I thought it was 2-0 up. The only bit of money I lost was pretty much on the Trevin Giles under, which was a tiny sprinkle, which annoying. I think we're head to head on Damien Jackson, Pat Sabatini. I got that one, but we were head to head on RoboCop and Shitty, and Scrap got that one. He was on RoboCop. I don't mind meeting defeat there, but I will no regret playing that line on Chitty as a slight underdog. I think that if that knee hits anywhere else, maybe puts him out. But other than that, we're both on Anthony Hernandez sub decision. I think that was one of our favorite bets, maybe mine. And the other one was the under on Fifer Amadovsky, which, I mean, everything hit, man. We both faded Song, and everyone was on Song as a dog. And then we also live bet Sandhagen, both of us. That was good. It was good for both of us. He was Scrap. You're a bit more brave playing on Nascimento. I passed. I just thought it was too volatile for me. What about anything else? You want to add anything else?
Oh man, it was so long ago. I can't really even remember the fights. Yeah, but the main spots for me were Motta, Jillian, Robocop. Had Nascimento. That wasn't a big spot though. Nothing crazy on that. Yeah, think that was it for the most part. Oh, and the fluffy, yeah.
Yeah, and you hit Nascimento, and we both hit Andre Fili as well in the go to distance. That was good, man. It was one of those cards I could have been even less cautious and just cleaned up even more, but I'm happy. I was waiting for a big card with my conservative style to finally just feel like I'm a big shot gambler again instead of just winning bit by bit every week. But yeah, nothing too interesting other than just going head to head on 1 or 2 fights. But yeah, let's get into it. People are patiently waiting. We've got 2 viewers already. Let me get rid of this. Like and subscribe if you haven't. All right, why not? First fight on the night. I'll take it away. We got Guido Cannetti and Randy Costa. Now, I'm going to admit it straight away. I haven't taped this one, but without any tape, I've already put a unit on the under 1.5. I feel like it's a no-brainer. The odds have already changed. I think I got $1.65 on Neds. The odds have already changed. I thought it would be -200. I'll probably play it at -200 at least. Costa's never been out round 2. Even when he tried to pace himself against Tony Kelly, he still fell apart. I had the under 2.5 there. I was sweating a bit. And thankfully, thanks to Kelly, he still crumbled there. So he's a round 1 merchant. He absolutely hates adversity. Guido Cannetti, he's not that bad. Yes, he's old, but in the first round before he gets tired, he can actually absolutely crack. He just put out old mate that Moutinho. I kind of regret passing on that one. I said I would live bet it, but the smart thing would have been to hit Guido and then live bet it if Moutinho survives. But yeah, just I don't want to talk too much about it. He's just the front runner and a round one finisher against the old guy who is a bit chinny himself, Guido. He even hurt someone like Marlon Vera. I mean, even when he wins, he does have a lot of decisions, against Hugo Viana, Diego Rivas, and he almost won a decision against Mana Martinez. But I mean, someone like Costa is a lot more fragile than those guys. So under 1.5, potentially I might just play round 1 and 2 on Top Sports again when it opens up, like the fight. It was the same value as under 1.5. It gives me another 2.5 minutes. But yeah, I don't want to complicate it. Can't play Randy at these odds, and I'll just live bet Guido after round 1 because that's Costa's best round. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, it's not a fight I have a lot of interest in, to be honest. I think, yeah, I totally understand your angle. On the under 1.5, there's been a lot of movement there, so obviously a lot of people think the same thing. Not saying I don't agree with the read. I just have like a personal aversion to under 1.5, especially at minus money. And now that the line's kind of moved and I've missed the best price, really not interested. The main concern for me is just Randy Costa, what kind of tempo he sets. I think if you leave Guido to his own devices, he's not liable to create like a super high tempo, crazy pace fight. When he does go, he throws with a lot of intent and he throws hard. But he's not super busy, I think he's old. I think he's conscious of his cardio not being the best. So I'm just a little bit worried if Randy Costa comes out more measured, because Guido's not going to make him work, then it could go over and we see something, maybe like the Mana Martinez fight. But obviously Costa doesn't carry power nearly as well as Mana does. Guido's still pretty tough, as we saw in that fight. But if Costa comes out like he has done in all his other previous fights, then the under should definitely look like a good bet. But I'm just a little bit spooked. At some point, you think the guy needs to kind of settle down and make a bit of a change. And the thing is, he couldn't relax against Tony Kelly, because if he tried to make it slow, Tony Kelly wasn't going to allow it to be slow. Whereas I think Guido may allow the fight to be a bit slower if that's what Costa kind of chooses to do. But obviously, I'm not running to bet the over 1.5 or anything like that. Maybe if it got to a really stupid number, I'd have a little look. But understand the play there. Ends KO could be interesting, but I imagine it'll be terrible price. So yeah, it's a pass for me at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, even if you wanted to, you could probably play round 1. Even better odds. It's literally, I don't think Costa's going to go in there and preserve himself anymore. I think he knows this is the one guy he can put out in round 1. And he didn't preserve himself until the Kelly fight. So, because obviously he went hard and couldn't get Yanez out. But even though all those jabs, if Guido takes all those jabs, man, he's folding. He was about to fall against Mana Martinez, and Mana, I don't know, it was just a horrible game plan. He just backed off. He kind of just let Guido survive. But let's move on. Like I said, I haven't taped it. It just seemed like a no-brainer. I expected the under to be minus 200, but I can always reduce later. I just feel like that's the only decent play on this card, on this fight. Next fight, we got Julia Stoliarenko, Chelsea Chandler. This is a pretty low-level fight. I kind of like Julia here, man. After tape, someone I respect pointed it out to me. I didn't play it. I didn't play it just because Chandler kind of seems to have some power, and obviously I've never seen her submitted, and I'm a bit like that with my tape, blah, blah, blah. I like to see someone get submitted before I can bank on Stoliarenko submitting her potentially, but she was in some bad positions. Carried Kennison, just dominated her on the ground. It's just Julia's cardio, and Chelsea actually has good cardio, and she has good pressure and good power, and Julia's quite hittable. But I like this fight, man. I think it's going to be a brawl. I think Chelsea Chandler trains with the Diaz bros, and she fights like a Diaz bro. I've also seen her hurt a couple of times. One of them was kind of a slip, but I've seen her wilt to like a body kick as well. So I'm like, man, Julia here is she's in her prime. She's 29 years old. She's not even 30. She's got a lot of people shit on her, man, but she's got some advantages. Like ever since that Avila fight, I saw some improvement in her method. Just throwing better hands. She landed a nice reactive double on Avila. She did the same thing to Jessica Rose Clark after she brawled with her, and then she level changed. So she's not just pulling guard anymore. She's not just mindlessly pushing up to the cage and then looking for horrible takedowns. She's actually got process, and she's improving. She looks in better shape as well, more ripped. She essentially won round 2 against Alexis Davis in the stand-up department, and that's after she blew her load going for multiple armbars in the first. So she's improving, man. She's improving. She can potentially win this in the 3-round striking fight, because Chelsea Chandler is so bad. She's a southpaw, hittable. She cage clinches a lot, which that's not what you want to do against Julia. You shouldn't be having any grappling against Julia whatsoever. So I don't know. I think I was passing when I originally taped it, and now the line has moved, and now it's pick 'em again. Maybe it keeps moving. Who knows? But I think I actually had money on Julia at bet, and I saw the line was going to move. I cashed out, and now I might wait till she's maybe a $2 underdog again. I'll play some. I don't want to play submission or decision, because I think she can even get a KO here. That's how hittable Chandler is. Yeah, I think I'll play a bit of Julia. I think she's got a lot of advantages. She's got the finishing upside with the submissions. She's got the aggression. Chandler just has the better striking potentially, but I think she can also get outstruck by Stoliarenko. So, yeah, and this is a catchweight too, 140. I don't know what that means, but probably suits both girls. Chandler's been fighting featherweights a lot. And Chandler, man, she's fighting just horrendous girls. Courtney King, Olivia Parker. We both know Olivia Parker, literally the definition of soccer mum. She's like 41 years old, and just all these girls are bad. So it's Julia for me, man. I think a lot of people are underestimating a lot higher level of competition. And then you can live bet Chandler potentially. It's the second fight of the night. She's literally like a Diaz, bro. She'll come forward after losing, and then she might hurt Stoliarenko late. But I think you get a much better line if Julia doesn't actually submit her early. So that's my take here. What about yourself?
Yeah, not much to add, mate. I agree. Like, it's a bit rough to get a read on Chandler just because of the level of competition. But I haven't played anything, but gun to my head, I would definitely play Stoliarenko. I did a bit of a no scorecards. I think I got like a minus 190 or something like that. I think the finish is like very, very heavily in her favor, whether it's, a sub or in the ground. But I agree, she could potentially get a KO with like how improved her process and her striking has been looking lately. And just Chandler's pretty hittable, so, and big step up in level of competition. So, yeah, agree with pretty much everything you said. I think Stoliarenko or pass here for me personally. Haven't bet the money line yet. See what happens closer towards it. Just that no scorecards bet at the moment for me.
You just reminded me, man. I don't mind the under here. I don't mind the under at a decent plus money, 2.5, or even if you want to play, it doesn't go to decision. Yep. Stoliarenko, even when she was about to serve against the Villa, survived. She got submitted at the death. So I think the way Chelsea fights, just constant pressure, and if Stoliarenko's gassed, I just think someone's getting finished in here. I think this could look hindsight amazing value. So that's another play potentially. Alrighty, third fight of the night: Maxim Grishin, V Lins. A lot of similarities here. Both 37-38, ex-heavyweights. Big dudes, a bit of low output from both of them. Not the best cardio. Just one guy's a bit more durable than the other. I'll let you take this one away, mate.
Yeah, interesting fight. Like line open near evens, and we saw like the people betting on Grishin pretty much exclusively. He's out to like minus 180-ish now. But for me, I like Lins here. Purely like a stylistic matchup thing. Like you said, both guys old. Cardio is not the best, but pretty much it just comes down to the fact that I think Lins is more willing to like let strikes go in combination. So he's just got the more upside for having like bigger moments and putting more of a stamp on rounds. Grishin, he's a good fighter, but he's very tepid. All he really wants to do is jab and leg kick. Even when you saw he had pretty much like a punching bag in front of him and William Knight, he just isn't really capable of putting it on guys. And a lot of people point to the Jacoby fight, but upon rewatch, like both those knockdowns he scored in the first round were like, they weren't flukes, obviously. but I don't think they're super replicable. One of them, he kind of pushed Jacoby off balance, and it looked like a knockdown. The other one, he kind of caught Jacoby in the middle of throwing like a spinning back fist, and again, just caught him out of position there. For me, I think striking plays out pretty close, but I probably favor Lins a bit, to be honest, because he's just willing to do more than jab and leg kick. He's just willing to do more than Grishin, People point to Lin's chin, fair concern. I think that's pretty much baked in at this price, at more than plus 150 now in a lot of places. I just see Grishin looking to jab and leg kick from the outside like he always does. He'll add the occasional right hand behind his jab, but when Lins goes, he's willing to go like in blitzes, throw combinations with his hand and end with the low kicks. I don't anticipate that either guy to have much grappling success, but I think Lins will look to mix it in again. I don't think he's like easily taking Grishin down and like getting a bunch of control time or anything, but I like that he's willing just to mix it up. Like I can see him blitzing in, throwing strikes, and then looking to clinch up afterwards, maybe looking for a takedown. Like you said, cardio not great for both guys, but again, I favor Lins in that area just because he got tired versus Prachnio, but for light heavyweight, that was a super like high-paced fight. Grishin kind of looks a bit gassy doing not much, He can be having his own jab leg kick kind of fight and he still gets pretty visibly tired, like we saw against Jacoby. He was tired against Knight and like barely anything happened the whole fight. Lins does slow down as well, but he slows down from actually doing stuff, and I kind of think he's more likely to be able to push through and keep doing things conducive to winning rounds even when he's tired. So especially at this price now where he's like under 40% implied, it's a no-brainer for me. I like Philippe Lins. There is maybe a bit of value on like goes the distance and overs as well at the current prices, but there's always a bit of trepidation there when it's two old big guys, especially when Lins has been a little bit prone to getting finished, but then on the other side, Grishin is not a very potent finisher at all. He doesn't really put any guys away except for those like super low level guys. So yeah, I think Lins overs and goes the distance are kind of the sides for this fight.
I definitely agree with you that it's a dog or pass. Like Grisham at this massive line, like you said, who's he beat? I was even, you were on him against Knight. I couldn't even play him against Knight. I just thought he was going to get leg kicked from a distance, and the first few times Knight picked him up and slammed him on his head, I was like, I knew it. I knew he was. This wasn't a simple bet, but he's just Knight being Knight. Just the perfect matchup with his chin up in the air and giving up so much reach just to eat those jabs and leg kicks and not do anything. This one, yeah, I agree with you. I taped it because you were on. It's definitely getting wider and wider, and I was getting tempted, but it's just the process. I think Grisham should win because of the process. Even I agree, he is breathing out of his mouth early, but then he still wins. Had a very close round against Jacoby, who had a lot more volume than him in round 3, because his process is always there. It's just he's always staying disciplined with his footwork and always pumps that jab. Whereas I agree with you, Lin's best strikes are the left and right when he blitzes in, just the wide looping hooks, and they are very fast. And I think Lin's is the same. He's also got the calf kick, but instead of the jab, he's just got the left and the right occasional blitzes. I honestly thought Lins looked the best against Arlovsky. I thought he got robbed. He was the first person to come out there and wobble Arlovsky multiple times, round 1 and 2, and have a lot more volume, but then he completely dropped off in round 3. And I guess that was enough to get robbed. And then obviously he got knocked out by Tanner Boza, but we see Boza hits like a truck now. I don't know if his chin is that as bad as, just came against someone like Boza. He probably should have knocked out Prachnio. I don't like that. That was a 29-28. I don't like that he grappled so much in the first round. I don't know why he would do that. And he couldn't get anything off. I don't know if he's going to do that here again. You would hope not. He literally lost the round not being able to take Prachnio down. He got more success in the third. I like how he pushes through the cardio barrier to solidify round 3 against Prachnio, but that's Prachnio, man. He actually has worse cardio than Grisham. So yeah, I agree with you. Easy dog or pass. I want to pass because Lins, I don't like his process. It's just something. I don't know what he's going to come out with, and I don't like how he looks at light heavyweight. And I know Grisham is always going to jab and potentially steal a round with a good jab, 1-2, or a big power shot. Whereas Grisham, I don't know if he's going to. Lins, I don't know what Lins is going to do. So might be a good live bet fight, but yeah, I agree with you. It's a dog or pass, but for me, I'm a bit nervous. It's a bit of a shit show. Okay. Brandon Allen, Krzysztof Jotko. Decent fight. I think the lines are relatively accurate. Jotko really good at stuffing any kind of submissions or grappling. Just do whatever you can to get the decision. Whereas Allen's the opposite, just wants a bit of chaos. Doesn't really have a good process. I think the line's pretty accurate, personally. I'll let you break this one down, mate.
Yeah, interesting fight. It's just always hard with Jotko, right? Like when you look at this matchup, skills-wise, there's no question that he's the better guy. It's just one of those fights where can the guy who's kind of got like some intangibles overcome the skill gap? Jotko, better everywhere, right? Better striker, better grappler. Should be able to land clean on Allen, who's defensively void. Should be able to avoid getting taken down. He's very difficult to take down and potentially hit takedowns of his own. The only thing is Jotko never puts a stamp on anything, right? He's always sort of going backwards, not pumping out much volume, letting guys come forward on him and kind of dictate. And he's kind of like a neutralizer. You know, he just kind of tends to neutralize what the other guy wants to do, and then sort of be able to just do a little bit more defensively. So I think where the line is currently is about right. You know, I don't want to play Jotko, even though I think he's the better fighter, just because he's always live to get out hustled, right? And Allen, even though I think he's a pretty shit fighter, to be honest, he's got no defense. He thinks he's a lot better than he is, which leads to him just thinking he can walk in the pocket and like put offense on guys, and he just gets fucking lit up. His grappling is horrible. He's bad positionally. But in saying all that, this is the kind of matchup where I think he might be able to pull out a win just on grit, you know, like, and just on optics, if he's willing just to go forward, spam junk volume on Jotko. Yeah, I could see him making this close and ugly, you know. I think the only way Jotko like really shuts it out is with takedowns and top time. If it stays standing, I think, yeah, Allen's live to make it competitive just because Jotko will go backwards. And he just has some bad optics in the way that he reacts to strikes. So, yeah. Although, like, I can't fault anyone playing Jotko. I know a lot of guys, a lot of sharp guys are on Jotko. For me, he's just not a guy that I want to bet as any kind of favorite in this kind of matchup because he just doesn't do enough. And if Allen can turn it into a dogfight, I think this is the potential to be really close, and it'll be one of those stupid split decisions that he could lose just on, like, optics and the way the fight looks. So, yeah, pass for me.
I agree, man. I agree. You said everything perfectly. He's a neutralizer. And he's going to have to neutralize a lot of what Allen's bringing because Allen's... At the start, I couldn't get a read on him because I didn't know what the guy was good at, but he just keeps hurting guys and winning fights. I think that's what it is. He's got power, he's got a lot of holes, and he just kind of wins with his aggression and power. And people forget that kind of Jotko kind of seems chinny to me. So this is the perfect fight where Allen could be losing, doing nothing, maybe getting out grappled, maybe getting stuck and moved around. And then he hurts Jotko once or twice or cracks him. He literally beat Malkoun, who were both on by decision. He literally beat Malkoun with a couple of high amplitude throws at the end of the rounds that he was getting wrestled and a couple of elbows on top. I can see him doing that against someone like Jotko who puts no stamps on rounds. The best thing Jotko can do is grapple him. Right, like he did to Jared Misha. Grapple him, do what Malkoun did, don't lose position. Jotko's amazing at scrambling. He will always get out on top. He will never get submitted. Allen loves that guillotine. He kept going for it against Malkoun. That's his best thing. If this is a striking fight, it's going to be sweaty. And I have no idea who's going to win. So, yeah, can't go wrong with Jotko by decision. But it is a close fight. So, pass for me as well. Alrighty. Jaquim Silva versus Jesse Ronson. Bit of a shit show fight. I taped it because I thought it would be pick'em. Initially, I thought it should be a pass. I shouldn't even tape this. But I thought, why not? I remember how chinny Silva is. Like, I was kind of surprised how chinny he was. More chinny than I thought he was from memory. Yeah, I was on Ronson small against a Mexican dude in his last one. Garcia. I think Garcia he's a bit more of a dog, and he can take the bombs that Ronson can take. I played half a unit on Ronson at $2.40. Maybe there's still a bit of value on there if you think that it should be a pick 'em potentially, two wash guys. But I think just Silva just has a lot of bad output. He circles on the outside. Look at this fight with Nasrat Hakparas. Like, we've been fading Nasrat. We've been saying constantly how one-dimensional Nasrat is, and he couldn't touch Nasrat. He couldn't touch him. He just made Nasrat look like an experienced boxer with amazing distance management and amazing hands. Right? He explodes with big shots. He waits. He's always waiting to counter. That's why he has close fights unless he gets knockouts. Jared Gordon was piecing him up, right? And he just obviously knocked him out in the end after he busted his hamstring with that solo stretch. I think it's just the way I see this fight. And Jesse Ronson, I think, has the better hands, but he's very hittable. And he was still taking bombs from Garcia. So I think the chin he might be shot because he's on steroids and he's old, but the chin still seems to be there, right? It's just maybe the cardio and the other stuff that he used to have on the gear is not there. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to brawl. Always dangerous with how hittable Ronson is, and Silva can drop him at any point. Silva seems to have better cardio, which back in the day, Ronson would always have better cardio, but now I'm not so certain. I just think they're going to brawl. I think if they brawl, Ronson should get the better of his chin. If Silva survives and it goes late, then it's a sloppy brawl, and you don't know who the hell's going to get put out first. Tough. I just got half a unit on Ronson because I think it's wide. And the under, I'm surprised by the under being such good odds. I think it's because they have a lot of decisions between them. But honestly, Ronson's a finisher, and Silva's a finisher too, unless he's constantly running away. So I might play the under here as well, under 2.5. I think I could find it at $1.70 somewhere. So I might play that potentially as well. But a bit of a shit show fight. I'm just playing the odds here. Ronson still has a good chin, and Silva doesn't. So if they're going to brawl, I'll take him. What is your take?
Yeah, pretty much agree. Not a fight where I have interest in picking a side, because I think both guys are pretty old and approaching shot territory. If I had to, I'd just go dog. Whoever's the dog, I'd just play him, because I think it's probably going to be a bit of a war, to be honest. But yeah, I agree. Under's the side here. Ronson looks absolutely terrible against Garcia. Just his reactions, timing, and all that sort of stuff was just completely off. Which is, to me, kind of one of the trademarks of a guy who's starting to get pretty shot in that territory. Silva, yeah, obviously some bad KO losses, and yeah, just again has looked pretty old in his showing. So I'm not really interested in putting money on either guy. But yeah, I would say under's probably the bet, because both are a bit fragile. And then I'll be waiting to see what I could get on ends KO, but there is a bit of club sub risk, unfortunately. But I'll see what it comes out at, and then I'll kind of make my decision after that. Both guys can hit pretty hard, and yeah, both guys are pretty susceptible to being hurt at this point in their careers. So yeah, under and doesn't go is the only real thing that interests me here.
Ronson by random ass pool in the simulation this weekend. Yeah, I'll take it. Any way possible. Okay. Jessica Penne, Tabitha Ricci. This is an easy dogger pass for me. I'm still surprised the money's coming on Ricci at past minus 200. Jessica Penne, say what you want about her. Yes, almost 40 years old, but she's hands down, no doubt about it, better than Poliana Viana and Oliveira, the two girls that Ricci has fought. I don't have any thoughts that she's not. Right, she's definitely better. She's more experienced. She's tough to deal with. Right, yeah, she got a robbery. Penne got a robbery over Lupi, but she still kept taking it back. She hit it a couple of times with the 1-2. She's got serviceable striking. She's got a lot longer reach. I know everyone has longer reach than Ricci, and she's been winning constantly. But Yeah, she's got good jiu-jitsu. She's got good scrambles. That's probably going to be her downfall here. She's too easy to. She falls to her back too easily, right? And not even taken down all the time. Just when she gets the whizzer, and then she jumps over to get the armbar or get the back. Sometimes she falls off. I had to go all the way back to the Ronda Marcos fight for Jessica Penne just to see some grappling. I want to watch the Daniel Taylor fight again. I've taped that so many times. Like, I shivers thinking about it. So I just went back a bit longer, and yeah, you know, she took Ronda Marcos down. She kept scrambling, and she's good at doing the underhooks, and she reversed Marcos heaps of times, but she also got reversed herself. And the thing over the last 5-6 fights that's consistent with Jessica Penne is, you know, she won't always pull guard, but she will go for a really, really shit leg kick, and she'll get taken down. So I think, you know, Ricci can probably get takedowns here, but I don't think she's going to do anything crazy with it. She could take downs over Viana. If Viana didn't pull guillotines consistently, she could have won a 29-28 there. She couldn't take down Oliveira of all of round one. Just keep that in mind. 5 minutes of not being able to take Oliveira down. And a couple of times she took her down in round two, Oliveira got up. She got out of her mount, she got up. So if those girls can do it, those girls are horrendous. Like Jessica Penne can scramble. It's just, yeah. It's just, I don't know what people are. Why people are so confident on Ricci. Easy dog or pass for me. I mean, I was going to pass, but I don't know. Money keeps coming in, so maybe I get tempted. What about yourself?
Yeah, man, I agree. Clear dog or pass spot. I have no idea like where all this conviction on Ricci is coming from. Well, I guess I do know, right? I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, this is just the Polyana Viana fight again," except Jessica Penne is old, right?
It's the thirst, bro. The thirst.
Sorry?
It's thirst. Everyone is thirsty over Ricci.
Yeah. For me, like Ricci, this is not a girl you can ever line up like minus 200 in the UFC, right? Even like we saw, even against like a Maria Oliveira, right? Like she's just not capable of covering those big prices. So yeah, clear dog or pass spot. I'm gonna wait, same as you. See where Penne ends up closing. I could definitely be tempted into a small bet on her. She has the length and the striking advantage, in my opinion. Like Ricci's aggressive, but she's just so small and doesn't actually know how to strike. She just comes in spamming random shit. I give Penne the edge in the clinch. I think she's a much better like stand-up grappler than Viana. Viana just flops the guard. Penne actually has some idea of how to defend takedowns, how to try and get her own takedowns, standing back takes, that sort of thing. I'd be surprised to see a finish here. So Penne by decision could be interesting. Obviously, she's a good back taker, but Ricci's supposedly got high-level jiu-jitsu herself. So I don't think a submission is super likely. But Penne's just really good at like manufacturing like close fights, you know, just using her like length and grappling to kind of always keep rounds close. So yeah, clear Penne or pass, Penne money line, Penne by decision, both be something that's quite interesting for me. Ricci at this price is just, yeah, never something I could consider.
No, it makes no sense. She's going to win a decision at best, and you're going to be sweating. It's a grapple-based decision. Okay. Oleinik V Latifi. I've taped this fight originally when Latifi was much better odds, and then he got absolutely steamed to minus 200. It's a little bit better than minus 200. Everyone was telling me there's value. All the boys, people I respect, people I don't respect, which made me a bit sus. I was like, okay, usually the sharp people I respect are right, and the people that I don't respect are wrong, like the Twitter. But it's weird. It seems like everyone was on the same page. Latifi should win this one. And if I hear one more time that you can't submit someone with no neck, I'm just going to play Oleinik by sub. That's how many times I've heard it. I'm sick of it by now. So yeah, I haven't retaped it again. I taped a lot of the time. I tape fights when they cancelled. I trust my read. I will retape it because I want to get a better read. But I'll let you take this one away, man.
Yeah, for me, in terms of the money line, I think it's accurate or near enough accurate. I think you have to favour Latifi just because he has more finishing upside. I think just with the power he throws on the feet, and he's got the top time upside of being able to hit takedowns. And not that he even needs to, right? Oleinik will likely pull guard at some point if they engage in any kind of clinch. That being said, though, like I can't get past like a 65% implied for Latifi. He's very gassy. He's got some of the worst volume in UFC history. And he doesn't throw any ground and pound when he's on top. He's a pure lay and pray guy. For me, like, I think the Spivak fight is like a pretty interesting sort of like comparison here. Oleinik was able to win minutes in that fight standing just with his awkward, ugly volume, right? And I think he'll be able to do that here against Latifi. Latifi's more of a like one-shot KO threat than Spivak, but his volume is much, much worse. He's also got way worse cardio than Spivak. Spivak throws ground and pound on top. Latifi doesn't. So yeah, for me, I don't see any reason to play Latifi. For me, it's the overs here. And I'd probably go for like an over 2.5 or a GTD at a bigger price, just because I think if it makes it over 1.5, I think it's pretty likely to go the distance. I think finishing sort of equity is pretty front loaded, whether that's like a Latifi KO, a big overhand or something, or a Oleinik finding the sub. I think both guys kind of tend to run out of gas in the second half of the fight. And I think both of them will just kind of try to hold on to any position they can find, or won't really be able to muster like the finish, once they're tired. So yeah, for me, I'll have a look at, once it's kind of widely available, what goes a distance and over 2.5 prices are, because yeah, I don't think Latifi is that live to finish Oleinik on the mat just because he doesn't throw ground and pound. I don't think he's submitting him. His main path to finish is obviously just finding a big kill shot on the feet, and he kind of needs to put him outstanding, because if he follows him to the mat, I'm not sure if he's finding a finish. And obviously Oleinik's path to finish is what it always is, right? Finding some kind of like janky sub that kind of relies on Latifi making some poor decisions. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm looking to play this one. I'm not interested in picking a side in what is probably going to be a pretty ugly, sloppy, gassy old man fight.
Yep, I agree, man. I don't like everyone saying, I don't agree with everyone saying, Oleinik can't take him down, is a better wrestler, etc. He doesn't really take people down, dude. He just inverts. He goes back to the back. He kept getting Spivak's back over and over again. It's just we're doing weird shit, weird old man crafty shit. So to me, the first time I taped this fight, it just seemed like the biggest shit show fight that I didn't want any part of it. So, but like you said, I agree. I can't play Latifi at these odds, who just no volume, just holds on for dear life. Even if he gets on top of Oleinik, he's not going to be safe. He's going to be hunting for his legs, right? And Spivak has very good submission defense. I mean, yeah, Latifi's never been submitted, but I'd like to see how he deals when Oleinik is inverting for his legs and whatnot. And he can just win on the stand-up, man. Oleinik can win on the stand-up. Just pressure forward and throw those clubs. It's literally how he beat Verdun. But in terms of over-unders, I'll look into it some more, but shit show. Okay. Next one. This is probably one of my favorite fights. I'll let you take this one over as well. Mike Davis versus Vyacheslav Borishev. Two great strikers. Short notice for Slava clause. What do you reckon?
Yeah, the interesting fight, right? Finally get to see Mike Davis back in action after a pretty long layoff due to like injuries and health issues. I think that those kind of factors make it a difficult fight to like really get an accurate read on, and for me, I'm not interested in laying juice on Mike Davis. Obviously, I think the opener we saw with it being so wide is like a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to Slava's fight against Jukasey, where he just obviously got completely wrestled into the ground. I see some people talking about how Mike Davis may come and do the same. For me, I'm not buying it. Davis is a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he's not like a committed wrestler. We've never seen him come out and just be willing to shoot takedowns like Jukasey did against Slava, A lot of his takedowns in the UFC have come from like caught kicks, and he kind of like dumps the guy to the mat, follows him, but, can't really consolidate top control, is kind of happy to let them stand up again. So yeah, in order to kind of like lay the juice on Mike Davis here, I think you're almost like banking on something that we haven't seen him do before, and that's just never really like a sound way to bet a fight, in my opinion. I got a little bit of the Slava early line at plus 210, which I was pretty happy with. I think if this plays outstanding, which I think it likely does, it's going to be pretty competitive. Both guys pretty durable. They can pump out good volume. But But yeah, just a lot of red flags on the Mike Davis side with the injuries, the layoffs. I'm not sure like how committed this guy is to like fighting as a career. So yeah, I just saw enough there where plus 210 was like more than enough for me to take a shot on Slava. His takedown defense isn't great, but his get-ups are decent if he can avoid like being flattened out and kind of getting caught like with his back fully pinned in a static position on the mat. And I just don't really anticipate Mike Davis coming out to, you know, do that, put on like a grappling clinic. I could be totally wrong, but I'd be surprised to see that from a guy who's never really had that as his A game in the past and is coming off a bunch of like pretty serious injuries, you know, so wrestling hard. Yeah, I would think he'd probably be looking to strike as he normally does in his UFC fights here. So yeah, give me Slava and what I anticipate being like a pretty close and competitive striking matchup.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's an easy dog or pass for me as well. I just haven't gone around to actually playing Slava. Someone, as one of my good mates said, is something about Davis, you just can't play him. You know, he's got so many advantages, technical striker, he's got the wrestling, but even if he goes to the wrestling, he's got really bad control. Like his takedowns are just to break up shit. And then people stand up, and Slava's got good get-ups. I think you can, this is going to be a striking fight. I mean, you got to play the dog. I mean, Slava's getting what he wants, and Davis is more explosive and athletic, and he's got a good chin, but he's hittable. It's hittable, and at these odds, he just kind of, with all the talent that he has, I don't know, he just doesn't, he doesn't make fights as easy as they should be. You know, he's going to a war with Mason Jones, which his age is a bit bad now. He's, you know, he's getting cracked by Thomas Gifford, and obviously that didn't affect him much, but yeah, I don't know. Just something about Mike Davis. You can't play him against a really good striker like Slava. So it's a dog or pass for me too. I haven't played it yet. Live bet could be good potentially. When you kind of see how Davis is going to look after the time away, but then you might lose it. You know, if Slava comes out and he's the way more pinpoint striker and he's cracking him, you might lose that. But yeah, it's definitely a dog or pass for me. I would just, I could end up with a play by the end of the week. Okay, I'll take the next two. John Castañeda versus Daniel V Santos. I got roped into playing Santos after Arce almost collapsed on the scales. That was one of the last times. I never used to take weigh-ins into consideration that much, and then that fight got me fooled. But he's a decent fighter. He's young, 27. He's a very aggressive Muay Thai shooter box fighter. I think he kind of looked worse than he is, just due to the style matchup against Julio Arce. I mean, he's been fighting on against some Russians in Brave and Future, and ACA and ACB. Like he's quite the tested fighter for his age, and he's more than just a Muay Thai striker. He's got some submissions. He can be taken down, but he's got good get-ups, and he's got good cardio, and he just keeps coming forward. Some of those Russians that were wrestling him and that he beat, he would just get up and just beat the crap out of him. He throws hard. He's got a high guard. Just typical shooter box fighter. On the other side, John Castañeda. I've never been impressed with him, and then I was forced to tape his entire whole career before the Jones fight just to see how he's off his back, and then I kind of realized exactly how he fights. You know, just nothing too impressive on the feet. Does what he has to do. He kind of has underrated pop on his punches. He's got really good wrestling, which he uses occasionally to break up rounds. If he doesn't wrestle, though, like I said, his striking, if he doesn't get out of the first gear, he can have very close decisions. I mean, he's going to split decisions with Jose all day, right? In Combate, who's not a good fighter. He was on Contender Series as a short notice fight. And I mean, he's lost to Levi Saul, Marquin, another guy in Combate. It's just if he has full 3-round striking battles without using his wrestling to put stamp on rounds, they end up being very close. Even Juan was backing him up for about 4 minutes of that fight, and he didn't know how to deal with it, right? And if he can't get his calf kick and his little jabs off while coming forward, he can't really get anything off. By the end of that fight, he landed a good shot, and then he just put Wyman out when he got a read. But he does have good counters and he does have a very good chin. But yeah, he's serviceable and he's got great cardio, great durability. But I think the line is I think it's a bit overblown. No respect for Santos. Santos is a bigger underdog than he was against someone like Julio Arce, which is crazy. And now I think all the hype from Miles Jones is a flake, hence why I played Castañeda there. And even then, I only played half a unit, and I'm kind of regretting it. I added more live after round 1. He was still a dog, but just from that tape I've seen of Castañeda, I couldn't be comfortable that he was going to put stamps on things. But luckily, Jones is chinny. Santos is not chinny. Santos can take a beating and will keep coming. He did that against Arce. I'm hoping he's going to be a bit better after having that debut under his belt. I think this is, Castañeda potentially should be the favorite. I don't have too much conviction. I put a little bit, maybe I'll put 0.4 to win almost the unit on Santos, and the lines come in now. I just think you can live bet it. You can live bet it if it's a very close striking battle. If John gets him down, Santos will get up. He'll throw the more harder shots. You can also play the over. The over is better than what it was for the Johns fight, and neither of these guys is chinny, which is surprising. I think because Castañeda finished Johns, now people think it might go under, but you can get minus 75, minus 60 on if you just keep shopping around on the over 2.5. So yeah, I think Santos is the play here. I've got a little play on him and the over potentially as well. What do you got?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the early movement on Santos was probably pretty sharp. The line opened pretty wide. I think it's just going to be like another competitive striking fight for the most part. Castañeda is probably the one with the wrestling upside, but I'm not sure if we'll see him have massive success with that in this matchup. I think Santos can probably defend reasonably well unless he gasses out or something like that. But yeah, I think where it's at now, like most of the value on Santos is gone, so I'm not really interested in betting him. He does start hot, so I think, I'd be looking for a Castañeda live bet, if anything. But yeah, I agree. I'm waiting to see what I can get on goes the distance and overs because, both guys tough, durable, unlikely to, gas and fall apart like a Miles Jones. So yeah, I think it should be a pretty competitive striking war for the most part. We saw how tough Santos is against Arce. And yeah, Castañeda also a very durable guy with very solid cardio. So yeah, I think we're most likely going to a pretty competitive decision here. So prefer to try and snipe something nice on the over or the GTD as opposed to picking the side in like a close fight unless we get a really solid live line on Castañeda or something like that.
Yeah, I think you will after round 1 if like Santos, the way Yan then fought in that fight, Santos fights for 3 rounds. So he's going to back up John and you're going to get a juicy live line. Okay, on to the next one. We got Sadiq Yusuff V Shainis. Insane line. Right, I'm breaking this one down, but what do I break down about it? Insane line. Shainis, he wants to be on top. A lot of his wins are by KO, but they're by ground and pound. Low level of competition. Right, his last few. Price, Picard, Cody Fister, the best last name in the game. Jay Ellis, the guy, the can of cans on the regional scene. Chris Lenconi is one of the best wins he had. He went to a decision. A lot of scrambles. He can be taken down himself. He's got a really good elevator sweep, butterfly sweep. So when he gets taken down, he usually reverses and gets on top. But again, it's low-level competition. Last guy he lost to was Nathan Williams, which I don't like at all. I know that's Dan Levy's boy, but he's absolutely shit, needs to be said. And that guy just kept getting taken down. He kept reversing him. It was just a lot of reversals back and forth. And even in his last fight against Picard, he got wobbled. He got wobbled bad. He did his stanky leg. His knees buckled. And then he ended up getting his KO later on. So I can understand why Yusuff is a favorite, but probably not this much of a favorite. Yusuff is not the type of fighter that should be a favorite like Chimaev or Valentina. He's chinny. He's a bit flaky to me. But Yusuff's grappling is good, man. I remember he absolutely body rode, knee righted Andre Fili like in side control for all around too, and Andre couldn't get up. Like when he wants to wrestle, he's an absolute beast. So he can just wrestle Don here, he reverse him, etc., etc. I'm surprised that over 1.5 is minus money. I actually thought it was going to be big plus money and I was going to hit it because I thought Don could survive, but I actually don't know. I feel like maybe the under 2.5 now could be potentially good, right? Just because I've seen Don cracked. The way he throws his own hands, he's very aggressive. I think he used to fight all the time, and I heard some rumors that he kind of gave up on the UFC call, and now he got the UFC call when he stopped training all the time, so he might be a bit out of shape. Obviously, Yusuff cracks. We all know that. He's got a good calf kick. Yeah, I just think potentially the under 2.5 could be value here. It's better than minus 200. It's 2.5 rounds, even if Yusuff wants to slow and steadily come forward. But Shainis is aggressive. So if he's going to win this fight, it will be by knocking out Yusuff or ground and pounding. So even someone like Arnold Allen with no power just kept wobbling Yusuff all around the place. So yeah, it's a tough fight to have a good play on, but I'm looking at that under 2.5 potentially. What about you?
Yeah, can understand that angle. Probably likely a pass fight. Like Sadiq's not a guy you can trust at this big juice because he's a bit finny. Getting hurt and doing the chicken dance, like pretty hard. He's not got very good defense because he just tends to like walk into the pot and try to pressure guys. Sadiq's very rote. Like he just kind of walks in and does the same thing over and over. I don't think he's got a lot of craft as a striker. He's just really like a bit of a brute. But it's effective, right? He's able to pressure because he's such a big physical guy. He can back guys up. So I expect that's what's going to happen here, and that's probably going to draw down attempts out of Shainis, which I don't think are really going to work. I think Sadiq's actually a grappler than he is a striker. So once that's not working, I think we'll see Shainis kind of resorting to the get the fuck off me overhands. And you never know, one of those could land. So I hate like a little stab on Shainis KO. Yusuff gets hurt a lot, and he's just always there to be hit because he's always just trying to pressure forward and get into the pocket. Yeah, the short notice as well is another good kind of factor that goes in favor of like an under or an ends KO kind of thing. So yeah, understand that angle. I'll see again what's available. We don't really have like full props yet for a lot of the fights that are widely available, a lot of books. So see what happens. Ends KO under 2.5, maybe tiny sprinkle on Shainis KO because the number's huge. But in terms of how I expect it to play out, Sadiq should obviously hope as a minus 1200 or whatever he is, kind of like break Shainis down to a stoppage or maybe a decision if he can survive, but I'd probably favor stoppage. Yeah, but a bit of a pointless fight, to be honest. It's just one of Krause's guys getting in there on short notice to secure a UFC contract.
Yep, agree. Let's move on. Alrighty. Raoni Barcelos, Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones, I think here might be KO or bust. But Raoni Barcelos, I'm not really rushing to play him at this price. Really good fighter, but I think he was due to lose for a few fights now, and now he's lost 2 in a row. You got any hot takes on this one?
I think the hot line's pretty accurate. Raoni is just so much better as a fighter anywhere, but that Victor Henry fight was not a good look. I think it was like kind of like a combination of Raoni maybe getting a bit old, right? He's hitting that age as a bantamweight, where you see guys start to kind of go off the cliff a bit. But also Victor Henry massively outperformed expectations, and in terms of like bringing a veteran guy in from the regionals who's not some hot prospect, that's about as like good as a fighter and as good of a performance as you're going to get from like that kind of guy. There's not too many guys like Victor Henry floating around on the regionals who have been doing it for 10 years and can come in and like put on that kind of performance. So I think you got to kind of weigh those two things. But for me, I can't really get past like 70% on Raoni just because, yeah, his age, he does get hit, right? He doesn't mind kind of brawling in the pocket a bit, and that's where Trevin Jones is dangerous. Minute to minute, I think Barcelos should absolutely dominate, though. He's the much better striker, the much grappler, but Trevin Jones is king of just, the ass pull in this kind of spot. So I can't lay the juice on Kind of KO reliant. So if you like Trevin Jones, I'd say bet him by no scorecards or KO. That's the way to do it. Don't think I'm touching either of those at this stage though, because I think you're kind of banking on Barcelos being old for that to hit, right? Rather than like merits of Trevin Jones as a fighter. So yeah, again, another pass. I mean, goes the distance was in overs were like semi-tempting to me. Trevin has no kind of like pace or tempo. But if Barcelos brings it, then Jones is going to oblige him and they might just swing in the pocket. And both guys are liable to get stopped there, I think. So yeah, another pass for me. If you got earlier prices on Barcelos, maybe it's all right. There was like minus 180s, minus 190s around. But yeah, I just don't want to be paying that kind of price for an older bantamweight. Even though I love Barcelos, I think he's a really good fighter. He unfortunately might be starting to age out a bit now. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yep, and unfortunately I have to give you this fight too. Randy Brown, Francisco Trinaldo, 32-year-old versus 44-year-old, but we've been saying that about Trinaldo for a while now. The dude's like 8-1 in his last 9 fights, and he was doing quite well in that Salikov fight too until he got dropped a couple of times and lost the rounds. Anything here, man? The line is very juiced. I doubt you.
Nothing here, right? Like Randy Brown should really win this, right? Like Ronaldo now up at welterweight, being as old as he is, it should really be Randy's fight to lose, right? But Ronaldo is just so good at manufacturing these low volume, like close margin fights, and Randy has enough kind of concerns around his IQ and fragility that you just can't bet him at this price tag. Like he's a bit vulnerable to getting to the head. Obviously the little chicken legs are always an issue. Hopefully not so much of an issue here since it's open stance and Trinaldo is not like a super busy leg. He's not really a super busy, but he just finds ways to make fights close, you know, as we saw versus Danny Roberts. Randy Brown is kind of just a bit of like a souped up Danny Roberts, you know, he's a bit more athletic. He's got some more like natural gifts, but they're both dumb. Make poor choices in the fight. Randy Brown got a bit better cardio and recovery. Like I was on him against Chaos Williams and maybe a bit lucky to get that decision. Ended up like rallying after getting dropped and winning that round still, which is, you know, always a bit interesting. Guy comes back to win a round that he got dropped and badly hurt in. But yeah, like minus 300 and something, just absolutely no go. Again, if Trinaldo can make it look like one of his low tempo split decision type fights, then maybe the overall that goes the distance could be a good look. But for me, Trinaldo's super old. Randy's a pretty potent finisher when he goes for it, and Randy himself is a bit fragile. So yeah, it's just I'm afraid it's another all pass for me here.
Yeah, nothing more to be said. Let's address these comments. Davis is not DKC. Give me Slava inside the distance. I don't know if Slava can finish Davis, man. Davis is very durable. I've never seen him properly rock. He survived the war with Yusuff. He survived some bombs from Mason Jones, and he could handle his pressure. I don't know. And obviously Burns submitted him, but he couldn't really do anything to him in the stand-up. So, and he's got good cardio, so it's not like someone that Slava can break down with body shots and cardio. You go on.
Don't do the Magic MMA special where you lose on the dog because you bet them inside the distance instead of just betting the money line, right? If you like the dog, keep a majority of your stake on the money line and just sprinkle the prop if you think there's more value on the prop, right? But don't burn your profit getting cute.
Nice. Magic would bet Slava by submission. What do we got here? Can't root for Castañeda after he's wasting his Octagon interview praising the commentary of Michael Bisping. If that happened, that's probably a troll. It's probably making fun. There's no way he's actually serious. I hope Dan Levy sees this and gets butthurt. He probably won't, but he would get butthurt if he did, because he always gets butthurt about his shitmates being called shit. Okay, main event. I'll finish this one off. Not even an hour, not bad today. Another volatile Mackenzie Dern fight. Kind of reminds me of the Marina Rodriguez fight. I think in that one, I remember everyone was on Dern by submission or finish. And I remember taping Marina, and then she's always in these bad spots by Marcos, by I can't remember her name now, the chick from Alpha Male, the Mexican girl, and she gets 10-8'd, but she doesn't get submitted. And I was like, what if she survives an onslaught from Dern? And after that happened in round 2, I'm so annoyed that I didn't live bet it. She was like a $4 underdog, and then obviously Dern got gassed after that. Her wrestling was even shitter than usual, and doesn't really have a process. She just comes forward, swings wildly. She can't really think properly, can't set anything up, and she got pieced up. I think like this fight could be similar to 5 rounds. If Dern doesn't get a decision, Yan has good footwork. She can strike backwards. She hits hard. She actually doesn't have bad strength. Like getting pushed up against the cage, she can stay up. But Dern always like to go for some stupid shit pull guard or invert on the legs, or even if you get an underhook on her, she will overhook it and look to jump over, push over the cage, look to judo toss you. Just as long as you get one knee or one hand to the ground, she will look to lock something up. It's just a volatile fight, man. It's I don't know what to make of it. I think I have to say it's a dog or pass for me. It's a dog or pass because even someone like Tisha Torres, I played Dern against Tisha Torres just because I could see that Torres, when she gets backed up against the cage, she gives her legs. She does the push kick, and Dern couldn't actually catch it. She kept getting kicked by it. But even then, Dern won. She cracked her hard in round 1, and she wobbled her, which is what stole her the fight. And even then, someone like Torres has very good submission defense. I don't know if Yan's on that level, but she did okay against Gadela when she got taken down. Just scooted to the back of the octagon and stood up. Obviously, the Esparza fight was a big red flag, but Esparza's wrestling is night and day compared to someone like Dern. Yeah, it's just volatile, man. Maybe just live bet Yan if she survives rounds 2 and 3. I don't see Dern winning a 5-round decision. I think someone like Marina, like Yan, they both hit hard and they can actually win the striking, whereas a small girl like Tisha Torres, who always backs up, she couldn't win the striking battle, so she still lost to Dern, who was throwing hard and hard. But yeah, volatile fight. Submission's not worth it unless you play a submission 1 and 2 or something. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, agree for the most part. I got early Mackenzie Dern like minus 150, which I was happy with, but yeah, way too wide now. Yeah, I mean, Marina fight's probably a good analog, except Yan, if she does get taken down, is way worse than Marina on bottom. Like what we saw from Carla, this girl has like zero idea what she's doing on the mat. I think if Dern can get her to the mat and there's like at least 90 seconds left in the round, I would expect her to finish in most cases. Yeah, Yan's a terrible grappler. If you like Mackenzie, yeah, just wait to live bet because, if Yan can sort of keep it standing for the first round, you're just going to get a better price on Mackenzie. But yeah, volatile fight, like you said, right? Like Mackenzie's takedowns are horrible. So she might not be able to get her down that way. She might have to resort to like pulling guard or something. And by the time she gets her down, maybe there's not enough time left in the round to find the submission, and she's going to lose the standing minutes. But yeah, Yan is a bit of a bot. She just goes out there spamming strikes, which is good in a lot of matchups, right? But just from what I see, man, she puts herself in bad positions. She can be clinched up. Mackenzie can kind of like hang with her, like physicality wise. If she just kind of wants to bulldoze in on her, I think she can do it. And the margins of error are just very, very thin for Yan. I think, yeah, 1 takedown is going to be all Mackenzie needs in many cases, even if she has to resort to jumping guard. So I'm happy with that early money line I got on her. Like, I'm aware of the risks, right? It might just end up looking like the Marina fight. But although Marina's not got great get-ups, I think her takedown defense and especially like her defensive jiu-jitsu are way, way better than Yan. But, like you said, it's a volatile fight. And where the money line is now, I can totally understand people taking shots on Yan. I think Yan decision only is a decent bet for like those people who have that on DraftKings. Obviously, Dern, no scorecards is just like heinous prices, so unplayable. But yeah, it's just another classic Mackenzie Dern fight. As you say, she's probably going to be losing standing until she can get it to the mat where she looks completely dominant. So that's what it comes down to, right? How busy is she in pursuing the takedowns, and is she good enough to get Yan to the mat consistently?
Who knows? Who knows? Do you recall seeing Yan looking a bit gassed in the round 3 against Rodriguez? Or was that just me?
Yeah. No, I think so. She throws a lot of volume, right? And she's just a bit of a bot, like a wind-up toy, right? Like you just wind her up and you send her out there and she goes. She's not really like making adjustments and reads as she goes. She's just ki, strike, which is effective, right? Because she puts out a ton of volume, which is hard to keep up with. But at the same time, I think that can get her into trouble, right? Because she's not really reading and seeing the fight super effectively. She's just going out there and just spamming stuff, really. And like her technique's right, and her volume's good, and she's a good striker. But yeah, I think that can get her into trouble as well.
Yeah, we agree, man. We agree. Like I said, if you're gonna play submission, just play round 1 or 2. I can see just Dern, the longer this goes, not being able to get anything off. But who knows? If Yan also tires out, I'll have to look into it. She did look very tired in. I just taped it today. She did look kind of tired in the Rodriguez fight, so I might have to suss it. Then if she does get tired, because Marina has 5-round cardio, so to address these comments. First time catching the show live. Love the show. Thank you, man. Hopefully we get some more people in here. She was throwing hard and often against Rodriguez. Dern round 3 or 4 sub. Dern also has horrendous cardio, man, and she's got rabies. She doesn't know how to calm herself down. That's the problem. I don't know. It's just I don't want to be guessing too much shit in this fight, honestly. Let's do our best bet. I know I said slim pickings last time, but it wasn't even slim pickings last time. We cleaned up. we almost hit every single bet, but it might actually be slim pickings today.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the slimmest card in a while.
At the moment, I mean, I'm just gonna have to go from what I have. I think Santos could look like a good bet. I got him at 275. That could look like a good bet. And I'm gonna go with the under 1.5 in the Guido. That's my second one. That's round 1 finish is gonna make that look value. I got $2.65. I honestly expected it to be minus 200. So the under 1.5 in the Guido fight. I haven't even taped it. I'm sure I'll keep it after tape. And Santos are my 2 best bets.
For me, Lins money line.
Yes.
Plus 2.5 at the moment. I like that. I think it just plays out a lot closer, right? It's not like I think Lins should be some massive favorite, but I just think this is a close fight most of the time. So you're getting like good chunk of value there, in my opinion. Oh God, man, I do not like much for that at all. Second one, I guess, would be overs on the Latifi Oleinik fight. On the 1.5, there's like minus 130, so like $1.70, whatever, $1.77 or whatever in decimal, floating around. And then you got like plus 150, 155s around, plus 175s on GGDs. That would be my second favorite one. Again, just based on the value. Latifi's super low volume, doesn't throw much. Oleinik does throw until he gasses. His strikes are not super effective though. And then if they do grapple, I think in most cases Latifi's ending up on top of Oleinik, just laying praying, and hopefully not getting Ezekiel'd from bottom.
Yeah. The Castañeda go the distance is $1.72 on bet.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one as well.
I personally would be sweating a lot less on that than Oleinik. Even though, yes, I get it. If it's round 3, they're going to be tired and gassy, but I can see a tired and gassy Oleinik getting a sub. Yeah, because then Latifi will be tired and gassy too. But on the Castañeda side, I'm only sweating Santos knocking him out while he's throwing one of his bombs. Castañeda, I mean, he's only finishing Miles Johns and Wineland. That even Cody Stamen finished, which just tells you all you need to know. But yeah, I like Santos and I like the under. I think I'll have some more plays because the props haven't opened up fully for me. So hopefully it's like last week when it was slim pickings and we ended up just absolutely sweeping the card on everything we had. But yeah, No, it was a good pod, man. Nice and quick today. I assume you haven't looked at LFA or anything?
Nah, I've been so busy this week, man. I've done UFC and Bellator and nothing else.
Okay, you can give me some Bellator
Bellator's
reads.
way better than it's way better than UFC. A lot of the dogs are pretty live there, I think.
I've hit a couple of dogs, but I don't want to spoil it because I'll be doing a Bellator in the next day or so.
All right, we'll leave it to the other video.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Someone wants it. Any heavy favorites you think should be any parlays? Always, mate. All the Bellator favorites should never be near parlays.
Yeah.
Carl Albrechtsen last week. Jesus, what was that? That honestly seemed fake to me. I thought by the end of the card, I thought Peter Queally was going to win because that fight seemed so set up, and the 30-27s for all the SBG fighters, and the way their opponents were fighting, I'm like, and then when they took the point away from Benson Henderson, I'm like, yeah, I knew it. This is all fixed. I'm starting to be like a fucking conspiracy theory guy. Like, it just all seemed off. And all this off shit always happens in Bellator cards. Like, unpredictable shit that's just, yeah. You can't make parlays with unpredictable cards like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah. There's much better ways to go about making money than parlaying Bellator favorites.
Oh, probably 90%. 90% of ways are better than that. Even PFL parlays will get you there, mate. So yeah, tune in. Herb Dean is the gold standard. Tune in tomorrow, man. Tomorrow, or if I can get a guest on, maybe Saturday. We'll see how my tape goes. So, but yeah, other than that, good luck everyone, and see you all in a couple of days. Thank you, mate.
Sweet, catch up.